Okay, you may notice something is different in this, starting in this video. Not only have I rearranged the furniture, bench is going a different direction, but look down at the floors. I got them redone. They're a lot nicer. That gray is a lot better than the old hideous red that I had. So anyway, let's get down to business here. So what I've done is I have sanded everything up to 320, rounded over all the exposed corners at 330 seconds, except for at the bottom of the legs. I rounded that over at 530 seconds. I have made and put in all the floating tenons on the side where you would have a traditional tenon. That's where I put them. And also I did a dry fit, in a complete dry fit, down to the point where I cut out on the CNC some drawer fronts, the exact size, what they're called for. And, oh, let's see here. Well, that's not it. There it goes. Anyway, I set these in place when I did the dry fit to make sure I had the correct spacing and all that. So, next order of business is some sub-assemblies. And you can see I've got 3 sub-assemblies laid out here. These are the 2 legs down at the right end with its panel that gets put together. And then this is the middle 2 legs and the panel that goes with that. And then out on the left end, where we have that drop down and all this, that's what goes together here, these 2 rails. So I'm going to assemble these 3 independently. Then I will go back and I'll take these up, put them together with what goes in between, and then the same down here. Add this last one on in the end. So let's get started. Okay, a little break here in the video. I took 4 months off of working on this. I had stuff I had to get to, classes I had to do, some other projects that came up. So there may be some issues with continuity that you might notice, just to explain what's going on. Now let's get back to the project. I need to get my head back into the project, go over the drawings, cut list, and we'll move on. So next up is this web frame trim piece up here. It's kind of an interface. It's what connects the base to the top, but it also, aesthetically, it's a nice transition to build up to the top. The top is rather thin. It's hard to find thicker material in Bubinga, and I didn't want to cut down 8/4 to get the top. So I had to go with a little thinner top, but this trim piece up here kind of helps do that. A nice transition. So let's take a look at what's going on here. You can see this is looking down. Here's the web frame trim piece. You can see it has mitered corners, has a piece in the middle. This section down here, this is where the drop leaf is. That's that arm that comes out to support it. It has to swing back in here. So that piece of the web frame is cut out to receive it. Right here, 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 and here, there will be screws going up into the top. And that keeps it, where it's a solid wood top, so it'll expand and contract halfway from that center. Right here, I'm going to punch lamello holes into the web frame, and I use these guys to attach the web frame to the top there, and as it moves in and out, these guys slide in and out on this guy right here. So let's go to it. I'm going to start blanking this stuff out, and then we'll start doing the miters and gluing it all up and all that stuff. Okay, so I've got all these parts for the web frame cut to width, over size and length, cut to thickness. Also, all the exposed edges, I've got a clean joint on the jointer, so I'm not going to have to sand off saw curve. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut the miters, those four corners, the miters, the outside perimeter. That inside piece, I'm going to fit after I got the miters together. I like to use these digital guides to get me real close on the miters, and then I always check to make sure. I always cut two miters and check like that. So let's go ahead and get these guys cut. So here's the web frame top trim piece all laid out. I've got it setting on a torsion box. This is wax paper here. It'll resist glue. You can see what I've done here. I cut test pieces until I got this piece the right length. And then I cut some more scrap and put in here as kind of positioning blocks. This way, I'm going to glue this section up first, this center piece here. But I can take these front and back rails off and position them, and put glue in, and then position them precisely back where they belong, and there's no wonkiness going on. So this piece right here, this sits right over the top of the drawer banks. Right here. There's a divider right here, an end panel. Right there, it fits directly over that. This is 17 and 13/16 on center over from this edge. You can refer to the drawing as well. When I glue this guy up, I'm going to use this other piece of scrap here to kind of help keep it from going wonky too. So I've got a lot of control here. Let's go ahead and put some glue to this first sequence of gluing. Okay, we'll wait for the glue to dry. So I've got this centerpiece glued in. Now it's time to put the mitered pieces on. This joint here is in grain, but it's going to get a spline. But it does need to be strong enough to withhold the machining to get the spline in it. Once it gets that spline in it, it's a very, very strong joint. Not that there's a lot of stress on that joint. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint these ends a little bit with glue, let it soak in. It's in grain. And then I'm going to set these in place. Clamp here, here, lightly, here, here, lightly, and then start tightening those up, watching here to make sure that I'm even on the ends and I'm not slipping out one way or the other. And once I got it good, pressure on everything, come back, clamp it down to the torsion box. So, let's get started. There we go. There, good. Okay. Okay, next we do the spline in this guy. So we've got the web frame all glued up. Time to start on the machining with this guy. First off, I'm going to put a chamfer around the lower edge, around the whole perimeter. It's a 45 degree, it's about 1/8 of an inch down. There's a spline that goes in these corners right here. It's going to be centered on the flat space that's left after that chamfer. So I've got my router already set up and the table saw set up for the spline. I've already done all the setup, so let's get to it. So I'm setting the blade about 2 inches, make a 2-inch cut up here, from here to there, about 2 inches or so. This is a common fixture. You might have one already. If not, I will, in my packet of stuff with drawings and cut list, I'll include a drawing for this fixture as well. So let's do it. Okay, let's go in the other room and put the splines in. So I've already cut out the splines and fit them oversize in their slots. They're going to get flush trimmed after the fact. I started out with a piece like this and put it in there, drew a line, cut each one out. Now the fit on these guys is kind of critical. If you want it to go in and out quite easily, but not sloppy, and there's just probably a couple thousandths or so difference between that. If you get it too tight, these are likely to seize up on getting them in there, and then that's just a lot of cursing and stuff, and it's no fun. Too sloppy, and it's just a sloppy joint, you know. So anyway, make sure they slide, 2 fingers slide in and out real easy. I'm going to put a little glue on each spline only, and then get it in there as quick as I can with overhang all the way around. Let's go ahead and do it. There we are. So I've cleaned up this web frame, flushed this all up, sanded it nice and clean. I also went back and I put pre-drills in for screw holes. These members right here, they're spaced halfway in between, about 1/4 of an inch over or so. They will lock down on the top. This is the top. This is how this will orient to the top. And that will make the top expand half out from this way and half out from this way. It locks it in the center. So it kind of helps control the expansion and contraction. Also, I've used my lamella machine to make a little slots here for the tabletop fasteners. Now, I've spaced them about evenly in this space, evenly in here. 2 on this side, 1 over here, both sides. So let's zoom in a little closer right here. So these guys, if you were to cut this out where it's the exact distance between these 2 points here, you're not going to get a lot of pull down. You want this to have some pulling down action. So I've leveled the cut here with the top of that flange. So when I put it up there, it pulls down. It's about a 1/16 of an inch pull down from this point right here. Okay, we're ready to trim this guy up. I'm going to start with a 1/2 inch spiral flush trim. You can see I've added another piece, a scab piece out here, flush with the leg. So when I put the router up there, the bearing can start on something and it doesn't have a little space of free air there to make things really nasty. I will then come back in with a 1/4 inch to get into these corners, and then we will clean them up by hand, what's left on those corners.